Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming by the channel. If you subscribe, thank you so much. If you're new, welcome. Today we're going to discuss what we're working on right now. It's actually burning some brush. We're doing a lot of clearing on the property, and I'll show you an area in which we're going to start soon. So we need to get rid of some of the brush that we already have, so that's what we're going to do. I know a lot of people don't burn brush, they let it build up for habitat for animals and just for animals in general. But we have so much brush and we only have a few designated spots that we're going to burn at. We're actually working on another spot behind the camera that we'll show you in a little bit. But burning brush, you get two byproducts. So you get charcoal and you get ash. With having livestock, you get manure. So we're going to make our own compost, and we're going to fold in our ash and our charcoal to enrich our compost so we can enrich our soil for farming. So enjoy, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.
So guys, as you can see, this is where we started doing some clearing. This was all overgrown. We limbed all these trees off. This is an old blind that they had on the property already, but we ended up taking it down. They used untreated wood, and so it's all rotted and decrepit and just not very safe to use. So that's what we're gonna do. Hear the tractor in the background. Sorry about that. It's also a little bit windy today, so leave a comment down below and tell me how affected the quality of the sound is. Try to record when it's not so windy. But over here where it's so green, that was planted rye about a month, we'll say about 5 weeks ago. It came up beautifully. All of that whole area right there was wooded with some pines, a bunch of underbrush. Like I said in the previous video, the people who owned this property before us just let everything fall to the wayside and just kind of let it ruin itself. So trying to revamp it. Took down some trees. There's about 15, 18 pine trees that we took down right here. We're going to be doing a video of a stump ripper soon, and we're going to pull all these stumps out instead of leaving them there, so we can end up disking this and sowing some really good seed, maybe some bahia mixed with some perennial rye, something like that. Get a nice pasture, or rolling pasture. But as you can see, it came along pretty well over here. There's a little wet spot. It feeds into another pond that runs adjacent to our fence line, so probably gonna let that stay there like that. But for the most part, I love the way that this came out. Just a lot of work, a lot of labor intensive work, because we're doing it kind of the more complicated way. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this topic deals with burning brush. A lot of people, like I said initially, they just build big piles of brush, let it sit in their yards or on their farms, in their fields, and it just creates habitat for like birds and other wildlife. But since we have so much brush here and we're going to be changing the land so drastically, we need to burn it off. And instead of just letting all that useful charcoal and ash fall to the wayside, we'll actually apply it to our composting and our farming to help enrich our compost and our soil. So as you can see over here, we did some cleaning up as well. But this whole section, as I mentioned in the previous video, the east side of the river, we're going to clear out all the underbrush and thin out some of the trees so that we can have a rolling pasture that'll run parallel to our 7-acre pasture in front of our actual house. So I'm going to take everybody over there and show you where we're going to start actually doing some clearing next week, since the rest of this week's looks like it's going to rain. So see you in a minute. This section of woods actually runs parallel to our 7-acre pasture in the front of our house. As you can see from the background, that green grass right there, it's actually a perennial rye, or actually annual rye. Next year we'll sow seed of perennial so that we won't have to really worry about it. Just maybe add some more lime, not lye, that would kill it, sorry. But this section of wood line is all grown up. This tree right here will be coming down. Every other tree will also take down to give it enough room for growth. Try to get these trees healthy and nice. This underbrush here we're going to end up clearing out, opening this whole section. Sorry about the crunching of the leaves. It might be a little bit loud. But as you can see, you can actually see the field to my right now, since it's January. But normally during the spring, summertime, when we initially saw the property, you could barely see through this, and we just saw the potential. So as I walk through, just imagine what this property is going to look like, guys. It's going to be awesome. And we'll be documenting felling some trees, doing some lumber, just cool things in general. At least I think they're cool, and everybody here thinks it's cool. I hope that the viewers or guests to our channel think similarly to our outlook on life, but we'll see how it goes. Still gonna do it, still gonna share it with everybody. If people like it, awesome. If people don't, then they don't have to watch it, I guess. So some more of that open field. This big section right here. All of this underbrush is going to be cleared. So we have a channel right there. We're just going to open it up and make it look beautiful. So everyone, since we are going to be doing all this clearing and land management, we're going to have an excess of brush and carbon material to burn. So that's in and of itself why I'm showing you this. It's not going to be a waste, nothing like that. We're going to repurpose this after we've changed it, made it more usable than it would currently be. I mean, all of it, this is just overgrowth. This first little tree line section, this little strip, will mostly be done by hand. Chainsaw, Kaiser blade, pole saw, stuff like that, and then we'll bush hog it after we limb the trees. But the section of woods that I wanted to show y'all is right ahead of me. We're actually walking towards it right now. These little bushy shrub trees, people call them like yopons and stuff like that. People make tea out of some of them. All this little undergrowth, the vast majority of it we'll be able to take down with bush hogging. We'll have to take caution with larger branches and stumps, limbs, etc. But this is on the plate next. Just a whole bunch of land maintenance that this property desperately needs. I don't understand why anybody would just let things go, especially when you have a nice opportunity to make everything look just gorgeous, or even more beautiful than it already is. I'm about halfway deep into the field, and this is the wood line that we're going to start next week clearing from afar. relatively from afar. As you can see, just all overgrown. Lovely field coming along. End of February, we'll have about 12-15 head of cow out here, 100-150 chickens. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for everybody to see this.
Alright guys, well, I hope you all enjoyed the little walkthrough of the woods and the area that we're going to start clearing to generate some more brush for us to burn. Behind me is already a brush pile that we gathered from our clearing that I took you initially through. Today, or right now I guess, I'm going to show you a few items that we're going to use to start this and to control it so that we can generate some charcoal and some ash that we can mix into our compost, like I mentioned earlier. So first, to start our fire, we're going to use propane and a propane burner, just like this. So we'll open the propane valve. Then we have a controlled stem valve right here that will just compress. We'll ignite it, and that'll be our fuel source. To light it, we're going to use MAP gas, burns hot. Same thing, swivel valve, igniter. To give more fuel to the fire and the source of, more fuel to the fire, we're going to use a leaf blower to give it more oxygen. And that'll also help us control some of the leaves that might rustle by or burn off from the brush that's already in the pile itself, just to take some extra precaution. Last night it dewed real heavily, this morning I should say, so the ground is still a little bit moist. And like I mentioned earlier, we're expected to get about 4 days of rain, so in about an hour or two it's going to start raining here, so that's going to control some of the embers and everything else that's going to come from actually making a fire. So one more thing that we're going to use, another tool that we're going to use to control this burn, we're going to use the Kubota MX 5200, and we're going to actually lift this brush pile up to get the propane burner underneath and follow it through with the leaf blower so we can burn out all those leaves and fine twigs so we can catch this fire quickly, control it, and control the burn time. Alright, so watch it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start this leaf blower, have it on deck. That's good to go. This is going to go ahead, bring the front end loader underneath the brush pile. So as you can see guys, the initial attempt using the tractor to pick up the brush pile didn't really work too well. But then when we just added a little bit of propane burn to the edge and blew fresh oxygen underneath, it started catching. So there's a little bit of fire over here. Probably shouldn't have started a little fire here so it won't back burn.
and then smother out the whole fire. We want the fire to carry through all the brush so that we get an even and complete burn. That will result in a good source of charcoal and ash for composting. So, pretty effective. This brush pile is actually set inside of a hole that was already on the property. Tristan's going to go ahead and push the edges of this brush pile in on itself so we can go ahead and just burn them all out. Notice these trees that you'll see in the leading up to this section part of the video. We left these trees right here purposefully to see how much damage that this fire would do to these two trees. It is winter, so the sap in the tree should be relatively in the ground and not so much so in the tree itself. So it's kind of an experiment at this point to see if they come back or not. Our plan was to cut them down initially, but we wanted to see how this happened, or see if this had any cause or ill effect on them when they're growing. So as he pushes those forward, he's coming around. He tucked in this edge right here. So that's what he's going to do all along this fire. Just pushing it on itself. Nice clean burn. So the thing about making charcoal and ash is if you're going to burn it, if you're going to burn your brush, you don't want foreign trash inside of it like plastic, cans, aluminum, anything like that. You'll notice those little gas tanks over there. We did not use it, obviously, you saw. So he's just going to go ahead and feed those edges in. Watch that wind pick it up. Boom. There's all that extra oxygen burning off that fuel so make good charcoal. There we go. As I mentioned, these trees, I wanted to get a shot of it, but they were steaming from the heat generated from the fire. They're not doing it anymore because the fire died down. So you can see a little bit of char on the exterior bark, but we'll see what happens. Alright everybody, so this is what it looks like after it's been burnt completely. So, turned out pretty well. In the morning I'll come out here, break it up, and then just start piling more brush on top of it when we start clearing. So, thanks everybody. Stay tuned for the next video. Have a good one.